Hi, folks. Welcome to Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. I'm your co-host, Mark, and this is my co-host, Harry.
Hello.
Flawless victory. We're two idiots who like to talk about stuff we have no idea what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, over in Harryland,
Yes.
how was your week, Harry?
Hot. Um. Obviously,
Yeah.
yesterday and today was fucking brutal. 103 and 108.
No, we're not talking about the heat. The more we talk about it, the more it happens.
Yeah.
No, I'm
So
just kidding. Yeah, no, I completely feel you on that.
yeah, this week fucking blew with weather. But other than that, that's about it. I just work. Let's just say the usual, like a
Fair enough.
normal week.
The huge. The
Yeah.
huge. I get you. I
Mm-hmm.
need you know what? We're gonna have to change what this is again. I don't know
Oh.
what I jokingly changed it to last week, but this is now a self-help seminar
Ah.
for miniature model purchasing.
Yes. Talk to me.
So I told you about my models that I'm futzing with, and
Yeah.
I totally forgot that one of the Tau vehicles that I bought wasn't
Mm-hmm.
specifically the one that I wanted.
Oh.
Like a fucking prithy millennial I am. I went on to Amazon, God rest my soul, because I keep trying to quit that fucking site, and I ordered a $50 model and got it almost instantly. And now
Oh.
I've been fiddling with it. I'm still trying to push myself to painting it instead of
Right.
just spending $50 and sanding it until it's nothing. Because that's what I do. You
Yeah.
think I'm joking. I get it. You know, I'm like, oh, it's nice assembling. Let me scrape off the sprue and the flash and all that. And then like someone says, oh, so when are you gonna paint it? And I just start filing it down over the span of a week, just sitting there, not doing anything. So
Mm.
yeah, I need to get past that phase and I need to finish the model before I, buy another one.
Yeah.
Um, the week is good. It's hot as fucking balls. I hate it. I'd rather die in the cold than die in a lava pit,
Yep.
basically. So yeah, Germans were not meant for heat. So we'll just put it that way. Um, yeah, my week has been fine. I wanted to bring up something.
Okay.
I watched I told Harry that I watched this movie specifically, but that's not the case. I watched for a second what was on TV, X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh. Okay.
X-Men the franchise is not the thing that I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is Michael Fassbender. Michael
Yes.
Fassbender is an actor that I think you and I both really enjoy.
Hmm.
Um, in his dramatic roles, in his like, even in X Men, he's really fucking good.
Yes, he
But I
is.
think the parts that you and I really enjoy him in is the Alien franchise or the
Oh,
the
yes.
semi prequel spin-off franchise, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, he was really great in Prometheus, even though Prometheus was a bit of a mess. Um, and I thought he was even better in Alien Covenant, which I thought was even messier of a movie.
Hmm.
Um, let me backtrack a bit. I really like Prometheus. Um, I like that they're telling a way zanier story within the context of the Alien universe. Um, I enjoy that it's not a let's explain why the alien exists story. I like that it's like a weird spin-off prequel that technically shouldn't have had anything to do with the aliens. Like there's some of the like, oh, they seem to be praying to something that looks like an alien, or oh, like the end or mid credits scene, like, oh, is this an alien? Like I like that it's like, oh, we got some of the DNA in there. We can't ignore that, but we're trying to tell our own story.
Right.
Um, Alien Covenant felt very forced. I absolutely loved it when it came out. Upon more viewings, I'm like, okay, well, I kind of think the xenomorph bogs the movie down.
Yeah.
And the point that I'm getting at, because I realized after I was listening to the video yesterday, I have a really bad habit of just repeating the same thing over and over again for like 15 minutes for time.
Yeah.
The point that I'm getting to is that I think they should have continued the weird prequel spin-offy tradition by just not having the xenomorph in the movie at all.
Oh, okay.
So again, this ropes around to Michael Fassbender. This wasn't just I thought of Michael Fassbender then thought of Alien and whatnot.
Right.
This is I saw Apocalypse. I thought of Michael Fassbender, and I sat down for 5 minutes and I was like, wait, can I think of a better fucking Alien Covenant without the alien? And I literally just thought of my version called Covenant, where it's the exact same fucking movie. Like you can have the neomorphs, the white skinned, super tall, like prequel alien things.
Yeah.
You can have those, but there's no xenomorph, and the story is almost entirely about David. Like you could do the
So
same
good.
thing. It's still your crew members. They find, this planet. They find David, except you just take out the xenomorph, and that's fucking it. If you take out the
Mm-hmm.
xenomorph, you're essentially removing the last. It's not the second half of the third act, which is just almost a carbon copy of Alien.
Yeah.
Um, David is the most interesting portion of what would have been this trilogy.
Yes.
For anyone that doesn't know, David is like a first generation android. Uh, his line of models essentially frightened people because they were very imaginative, they were very creative, and they were too lifelike. So in Alien Covenant, there's Walter, and he's like a upgraded yet like streamlined version of David who does not exhibit the same level of emotion, creativity. So you're drawing like a parallel there because he's identically the same.
Yeah.
Uh, so you have kind of like a Cain and Abel thing. There's some overt and not overt, some explicit Bible references. Um, Again, I really liked this movie, and I felt that the studio really pushed for the brand recognition of the xenomorph, and it's to the detriment of most of the movie. Like again, I like almost all of the movie with the exception of the xenomorph. So the drive is still there. David wants to be an artist. He wants to create something. Um, in his own sick, perverted way, he like tries to turn Shaw into like this queen because in the previous movie she can't reproduce, and that's something that this is probably reductive. She goes to her gods, the people who make her or have made human civilization, as an extension of figuring out why. It's not the only reason she wants to know why they created us, but what's key to her understanding is essentially like if they created her, why can't she create life herself? So there's a scene in Covenant where you find out that he tried to make a being out of her that could create life, essentially the queen. So I like the
Yeah.
idea of him creating the xenomorphs. I didn't need it donked over the head a million times or the alien in the movie, but I really like the idea of him like likening himself to this artist.
Yeah.
And like what I thought would have been way cooler is instead of like one or two of these xenomorphs, you have the two neomorphs in the beginning that fuck everything up, and then David comes, and then I wouldn't know how it would necessarily unfold, but he would reveal, or it would be revealed that he has like a bunch of living, like deformed xenomorphs, like prototypes. You remember in Alien Resurrection where they keep like
Yeah.
cloning Ripley and she's number 8 and you see all the other 7 iterations of her?
Yep.
That's what I would have liked. Like that, but for the xenomorphs. And he just keeps trying and
Mm,
trying and trying. And it's at the end, the ending of the movie could be exactly the same. where he like freezes Shaw. He yaks up a couple of his prototype facehuggers, and he's like, "Ah, yes, I have 2,000 people to experiment on and perfect my xenomorph with." I thought that would have been way better of a story because you're relying less on the
Mm-hmm.
alien and you're relying more on like this character's drive. But anyway,
Right.
Michael Fassbender's great. Still like Alien Covenant, even if it's a little bit schlocky. That's my fucking 2 cents. Covenant, not Alien Covenant. Covenant.
Covenant.
Prometheus, Covenant, and then before they realized that this movie fucking tanked, they were going to do Alien Ascension, which would be like tying everything together.
Right.
But anyway, I digress. So that's my week and
Mm-hmm.
working and cheese grating my forehead into a wall. But yeah,
Good. Good week.
yeah, good week. Good week. In my opinion, good week. Good week. Anyway, Harry,
Yes.
what do we want to get out of the way first? Do we want to talk about E3? Do we want to talk about Loki?
We're gonna talk
What
about
do we want to get
Loki
to?
because
Okay, we're going to talk about
um
Lacko.
yep, because Loki was really good. Really,
I liked it.
really
I really
good.
liked it.
That plot
I
twist in the
hear.
end, I
Yeah.
I knew it was coming, but I did not know it was coming. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it. Like obviously we've heard rumors of like female Loki before, but
Lady Loki.
it didn't cross my mind while I was watching the show. And it was great.
Right.
But I knew it wasn't I forget the actor's name, but I knew it wasn't
Tom
uh
Tiddleston.
yeah, I knew it wasn't them with that cloak. I knew it. I was like, that's not
Right.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny? Hold on. Do we want to go over like the episode or a theory first?
Let's
Let's do
you know
the
what?
episode.
Okay, yeah, let's do the episode.
So what was your high point with this episode?
Man, I think okay, that ending was like when the bombs start going off. That like it's hard not like
Oh yeah.
that is the climax of the episode, so it's hard not to like get wet off that, right?
The
Because
ticking time bomb sound effect too.
yeah,
If you realize when they're in the rocks cart, if that's even what it's called, um, the suspense music that they're playing isn't just, oh, look at me, suspense music. It's literally ticking.
oh wow,
Yeah,
I didn't
just
notice that. Okay,
the little stuff.
dude, but yeah, that
But yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
no,
ruin your train of thought.
it's hard not to get super excited off the climax of the episode, right? The
Mm-hmm.
face reveal and the and then just what they are actually doing. Like you think, oh, they're just gonna blow everyone up in the in the store. Sure, that makes sense. Even Loki was like, yeah, you're just gonna blow us all up, and then it dawns what's
Big
actually
surprise,
happening.
fucker. Yep.
Oh shoot, yeah, that is it's hard. But I think the cool part is when I know it kind of like I don't know, like the whole like he started figuring things out, you know? Like
Yeah.
figuring out what quote unquote he was planning. Um I thought that was
This
cool too.
inferior Loki, of course.
Yeah. And
The
I
inferior variant.
I, I still like the interaction between them two. I think Owen Wilson is doing a fantastic job being himself and
Yeah, yeah,
you know
I get that. Yeah.
yeah, wow. But yeah, no, I he's doing a great job. Like when I heard Owen Wilson, I was like, whatever. But yeah, he
No,
def.
I hear you.
So,
When I saw the stuff to it, I was thinking like, oh, he's got his same mop cut hair. He's gonna
mhm,
be the same like hunched over. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna do that. Wow. Oh
yeah,
my God, it's Loki. Wow. Yeah, but like his performance is still that, but it's got purpose.
yeah,
He's not Owen Wilson. He's
yeah.
Mobius.
Like Livy put it in a good perspective because Livy watches Wes Anderson films. I don't. Um,
Oh Jesus.
so Well, I mean, it's not that I don't. It's just like I don't pay attention to film. But Liv was saying that it's like him acting in those films is like one of like is like him acting in this series. Like it's just well, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Like
I can definitely see that, especially with like the Royal Tenenbaums or
yes.
Darjeeling Limited.
Mm-hmm. So I've seen those movies and I'm like, yeah, like I can see it. Like
Hmm.
he
Oh
like
yeah.
this is like one of his very well like acting roles right now that I can like he's doing a real good job. But yeah, I think um it's hard not to see the climax as like the high point of the episode for me. Um
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
and then
Um.
2050 Alabama as well. That was
Well, yeah. Of
yeah.
course. I mean, I'd be more inclined to make a joke about, global warming destroying Alabama if I wasn't so concerned with media that is capitalizing on global warming.
Right.
Mm. Anyway, what's something that you thought it could have done a little more work on, or just something you maybe not even disappointed with, but something maybe you're looking forward to, or something that you think might be a little lacking?
I mean, so I obviously want to see what's is it they kind of threw out there like the different variants, right? Like right off the
Hmm.
bat, like all these different variants, you look different, have different powers, blah blah blah. And again, like female Loki did not just cross my mind. Um, and I'm kind of excited, but I know I'm most likely gonna be disappointed about seeing different variants of other characters. Um,
Well, I don't know. I think they'll probably, given how that they've, given how that they've, given
yeah.
how they've been approaching these last couple series or seasons or shows,
Mm,
I don't think they're going to be exploring different versions of characters that we already know. I
yeah.
think it's mainly just going to be different versions of Loki. I think
Yeah.
given how they've been behaving with these shows, they're going to be very self-contained with just enough reference to imply something else that's coming.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like we're going to run into like uh, Tom Cruise Tony Stark or Johnny Depp Doctor Strange or anything like that.
Right.
Um, that'd be funny, and I mean, God knows if they fucking do something like that with the multiverse of madness. No, don't say that, Mark. Don't get your hopes up. They won't. But I don't think that is as much of an issue because
Yeah.
the only thing that we're going to really worry about is Loki and seeing possibly different versions of him. Maybe
Yeah.
one like uh, cameo thing. You remember the cameo that they did with Agent Carter?
Yes.
So that might be something. I don't know. That could just be a cutesy little reference. But
I can
I
see
don't
it.
think it'll get any farther than that, really.
Okay. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's there's not really much I can um say that I had against this episode. I was stoked the entire time. I was excited to watch the episode and I was happy seeing the entire episode. Like I'm like again, like I said before, I thought I was in with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I am so in with this series. They're doing a fantastic job so far for me when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Like they're not. Livy said, and again I reference Livy a lot because Livy critiques things way better than I do. Um, this series doesn't seem like a Marvel thing. It just seems like a normal series that you would watch on TV, like a like a good
Yeah.
series. And I think
Yeah. I could see that.
yeah, and I feel that too. I'm like, you're right. Like it doesn't. I don't think I'm watching a like. Obviously, I have the lore and the knowledge of the Marvel universe, but the series, like the episodes, don't feel like 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 what a Marvel thing usually is. Right? There's not the cheesy poses, the cheesy one-liners. Like the
Hmm.
chemistry between the actors are just so like fluid.
Yeah.
They're not trying to smash this epic thing into like 2.5, 3 hours long, right? Like they have a
Hmm.
series and a story to tell, and it just works so well. And I I right now I feel like I want more Marvel series than Marvel movies, if that
That's
makes
fair.
sense. Like I like the movies. Movies are cool. I think they're great as in like, having, right? Like you're not gonna make as much money on a series than you are in a movie, right? So I
Yeah.
get why you're gonna have them, but I personally prefer the series over the movies right now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You could definitely build up a more consistent set of shows. I mean, it almost feels like the Marvel franchise. I don't know if we've brought this up or if this is even necessarily true,
Hmm.
but the MCU feels a little more accustomed to being shows. Like, I'm not saying have like an
Mm,
Avengers show,
right.
and I don't know necessarily if they've gotten the hang of this yet, necessarily in the TV format. But it, there's a nature to the shows that I think works in a way that the movies don't necessarily. The movies, like, I still get the same reaction with the shows where it's like it's got an interesting premise, it looks fun, solid, charismatic performance, but it still has like the typical hero's journey. It still has a very weak ending.
Yeah.
Um, but it just watching these last couple of pieces, I think feels a little more well suited. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that model would necessarily work for all of the actors that they want to be a part of the franchise, or even if they do.
Hmm.
Um, but it feels like the MCU has built up enough prestige that you could get a bunch of other actors to be in just the shows, or vice
Right.
versa. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I really liked. Let me get something out of the way too.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I love this show.
Okay.
Like I'm not I'm not I was never the biggest fan of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy like retro 70s aesthetic that
Hmm.
so many movies, well, so many smaller movies kind of uh rip off of
Okay.
now. But I like this aesthetic. I was telling my girlfriend I really like this like 70s high like corporate look
Yeah.
that the TVA has. I love the color design, the dark oranges, yellows, browns. And on top of that, like I'm thinking to myself like, man, the concept and the visuals and the look behind the TVA, I almost wish this wasn't a Marvel property that this like time cop thing was in, you
Yeah.
know? Like there's a scene when Loki is doing his investigation, right?
Yeah.
And he's obviously got the green screen on his side, but him at the desk and then those beautiful like floors and floors and floors of archives in the
Yes.
background look so fucking good. I don't know what it is like. Maybe it's that aesthetic that I think is really fascinating.
Hmm.
Um, it makes me think of like uh, God, Control, that game for the Xbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't matter, but just blah, blah, blah. The visuals are great. Um, Owen Wilson, I think, is pretty good in it too. I love the interactions between him and Loki. If this show doesn't end with Owen Wilson getting a timeline where he gets a jet ski, I'm gonna shit a brick.
Dude, yes, I forgot about that. The jet
Um,
skis.
I don't know why he picked the fucking 90s. Jesus.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but oh gosh, there's so much stuff that I wanted to go over too. Uh, a lot of people are talking about how what I've been looking at is that they want more action, and I'm thinking to myself like,
Mm,
I want the opposite. Like,
yeah.
I don't need a lot of action. Like, this isn't the kind of story necessarily where I want a lot of action. Like, him being parsed out by Mobius and the other TVA guys, like,
Mm-hmm.
showing that he's got a lot to learn as someone who's still predictable,
Yeah.
is something that I thought was interesting. Him sitting down and kind of arguing about the nature of time with Mobius.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was great.
Yep.
I thought that instead of, not to dog, but I thought that instead of the reveal was more interesting.
Yeah, I
Like,
can get behind that. I think just when you ask me like what was like the high, like it's hard. That's what I'm saying. It's hard not to choose that because it was the climax of the episode, right? But you're
oh, no, no,
right.
no. Yeah, no,
You're
I get
you're
you.
you're 100% right though. Like those interact. That's what I'm saying. I love the interactions with him between them two because they're they're in from different worlds. So
Yeah,
like Loki's used to not doing the normal, right? But
absolutely.
Mobius is like, this is normal. This is what I do. And Loki's like, well, I do the opposite. I do what I want to do. So it's like, you're
And then on
right. That,
top of calling him out too for, again, being predictable, is like,
yeah.
and that conflict there is really good.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's spot on. Like that, and that interaction and when they're having lunch together was perfect because it
Hmm.
was also in a moment where they're both like doing research. They're working together as a team, and they finally have that bond. And it kind of sucks at the end, right? When Loki jumps into the portal, like
Hmm.
Mobius did trust him to a point, right? Like he didn't trust him,
Yeah,
but he also trusted him, and you can tell Loki was like, I don't want to leave, but I need to find out more. Like I think he like
yeah,
the actor put it in facial expression very well. Like, I'm not
yeah.
trying to betray you guys, but like this is an opportunity not just for me, but for us to figure out what the hell's happening, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm so essentially, he finds out that Loki finds out that the inferior Loki
Yeah.
is using, like, high grade disasters to essentially hide in these timelines where they're not causing high variances.
Yep.
Uh, Loki realizes by ruining Owen Wilson's salad that
Oh, that was so good.
this, I want that salad. Um, he realizes that by the event essentially wiping everything out, you can cause small to medium variances that are essentially going to get wiped out anyway, naturally.
Yep.
And that they test it. They go to Mount Vesuvius 79 AD, which I thought was great. He's speaking actual Greek, like, "Oh, you're all gonna
Yeah.
fucking die. I'm the god of mischief. We're from the future. We're from like an interdimensional thing that monitors time." They're like, "Oh, okay." And then Vesuvius explodes, and they're all fucking dying. But it proves his point. So they track the bubble gum
Yeah.
to 2050s Alabama's monsoon typhoon, their equivalent of like Hurricane Katrina times 5.
Mm,
Um, Context: the bubble gum from the first episode. Owen Wilson was looking at the bubble gum. Kablooey couldn't quite piece together where it was from until he realizes, in combination with what Loki discovers, that it's at this place, this disaster area. So they
mm-hmm.
go. They find out that Lady Loki, is at this spot and has amassed a bunch of these. What are they called again?
Something charges, time charges? No, reset
Uh,
charges?
We'll go. Yeah, reset charge.
Yeah.
We'll just do reset charge. But they're not just there to trap and kill the TVA authorities. They're sent to other portions of other timelines, causing divergences.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I wonder if they'll do anything with that. I wonder if they're going to go to like these different regions and we're going to see what happens. But it's then that we realize that Loki is, in fact, Loki. No, Loki is in fact Lady
Yes.
Loki or Femme Loki. I don't know the naming for this
Right.
character. But Loki does his usual unpredictable con artist thing. He's like, I want to help you do the time destruction thing, and we don't know what Lady Loki wants. We don't know what Loki wants. So eventually, she creates a portal after causing all this mayhem. Walks through it. Loki jumps through just in time for Owen Wilson to see him leave, and the episode ends. The one thing that I feel like I don't know if it's because I'm just not smart enough,
Mhm.
or if I might be onto something. I hope the unpredictability aspect of Loki is not a fixture of the writers not knowing what to do with him for a character arc.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's not like, oh, I'm unpredictable. I'm unpredictable for the entire time. Like, we don't know what he wants. Like, he has alluded to wanting to have an interest in seeing the timekeepers.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson's mentioned it. He's mentioned it kind of. But then it's, oh, I want to kill the timekeepers. Oh, I want to take control of this place. We don't really know what he wants. We get a sense of what he wants to do something different. He doesn't want to die, obviously.
Right.
I'm just hoping that like that sense of suspense at us not knowing what he wants is building to something and not like, oh, you rascal Loki, you're just always going to be this unpredictable guy no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I was worried about. Like, I like the beginning when he's doing the little con game thing against Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
I like some of the other spots where you're not quite sure where his allegiances are. It's like, that's fun. But again, I'm just hoping, stop it, Mark. I've already said this before. Fuck.
No, you're good. You got to make your
Good
point.
episode. No. If I couldn't get it done once, I'm not going to get it done on the fifth time. So I want to talk about a theory.
Theories, please tell me.
I want to talk about a theory, not just a theory, but something that apparently has been going on.
Oh.
The theory that that's actually not Lady Loki.
Okay.
The theory is that this person is actually Sylvie the Enchantress.
Sylvie the Enchantress.
Oh, spoiler alert, by the way.
Please
I don't know
explain.
much about this character. I just watched a couple videos, read a couple like Reddit posts and fucking responses. And apparently in one of the foreign credits, the character's name, instead of being the variant, is Sylvie. There are a couple casting names for some of the actors and actresses, which list like young Sylvie.
Okay.
Another one too is the fact that Lady Loki is typically black-haired and Sylvie's blonde-haired.
Okay.
So I don't quite know what they're going to go with. So there's a bit of con artisting, chicanery going on with the character in the books. She's led to believe that she's Lady Loki by Loki, and is made to commit these things. I don't know. There are a couple characters that we haven't met yet either. There's a character or an actor called Richard E. Grant who he was the bad guy in Logan, who people suspect is going to be playing an older Loki.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So this is all like suspect stuff.
Right.
But there are a couple of things that are leading people to believe that that's not actually the real Loki or the real Lady Loki.
Right. Okay.
And then another couple theories also too is that this is going to lead into Kid Loki. This will effectively retire Tom Hiddleston's character, and bring about another actor to play Loki who would be able to join the Young Avengers, because they've already set up Wiccan. They've already set up, I think, they've already got Jesus, Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. So you're already setting the groundwork for the Young Avengers. You're already setting the ground up for the Thunderbolts. It wouldn't be entirely out of the realm of possibility for them to do that.
Right.
Another theory as well is that our Loki from, the movies that we've been watching this entire time, has possessed this body that is doing all the killing. That doesn't quite make as much sense, but I thought it was kind of a saucy little theory all the same.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning.
Yeah, I like the I think the Sylvie one makes more sense because, like you said, there's a lot of like evidence behind it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I'm interested in seeing it. I really am.
Yes.
Whether or not any of these are true, like, I'm still interested in seeing how Loki turns out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm excited. Do we know how many episodes?
I believe either 6 or 8. I'm not entirely sure.
I
I
was
would
kind of bummed on
imagine.
6 episodes last series, but
Well, yeah, I would imagine that this would probably be 6, given the speed at which they're going at with this.
true. Yeah.
I'm again like I'm no writer. I can bitch and moan about how this should have been done or that should have been done all live long day. It's my bread and butter to complain about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like what we were talking about with Star Trek Discovery, and like what we were talking about with some of the previous shows around that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does a show pace itself?
Yeah.
Should should it have this amount of episodes? If so, what gets cut from the original story? What deserves to be in there? Well, what if it's 20 episodes? How much of that is filler? I got the impression that Falcon and Winter Soldier didn't quite manage its time well.
Yes.
Or at
Agreed.
least the plot beats that mattered didn't quite mesh with the time frame that they had.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not the same case with this one. I'm looking forward to seeing how they pace everything out. But I could be in the same boat as you are with the timing. How it's like, well, maybe this does need more episodes, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe 6 would be perfect in this case for Loki.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I think I'm just getting greedy and hoping for more.
You fucking bastard.
But yes, we'll have to see. I mean, again, the past 2 series didn't really stick the landing. But this one might.
Hopefully. I always
Yeah.
have hope for Marvel movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've grown out of the idea of expecting much from these, but I'm always still pleasantly surprised by some parts of each movie, for the most part.
Sure. Anything else on the topic of Loki for you?
Loki's hair is awful.
Okay. Fair enough.
Absolutely awful.
So I didn't really watch E3 or any of the coverage of E3. I've only saw little snippets here and there from Twitter, of what people have talked about and everything. You have, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I watched. Oh, jeez. I think I watched about 5 hours of it.
Okay.
Ubisoft was eh. God, what am I doing? I feel like now I'm talking too little. Let's do Xbox because that's the one I really watched the most of. I was enjoying the rapid succession of video games that they were putting out or
Mm-hmm.
showing off. I'm really glad that there are a lot of third-party developers out there too. A lot of fun games, a lot of small indie games that I always recommend to anyone who's interested. Go out, play, show your support of these developers if you like their games. And then the main stuff I thought was very disappointing and very bland.
Oh.
Bethesda didn't release anything of substance, in my opinion, except a couple release dates for all I care. 343 Industries barely released anything. A day later, they released a multiplayer video, which was fine.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I was not disappointed in at all was Arcane. Arcane put out a trailer for the Omen, codenamed Omen game that I was telling you about, which is
Okay.
now
Yeah.
been called Redfall. And Redfall I was worried about because I didn't know what it would turn out to look like.
Right.
I thought it would be like, what's that immersive sim? Vampires the Masquerade. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be like that. And it turns out that it has its own very campy, stylized look to it. And again, I I was not disappointed. Let's see. Let's go back. So Bethesda, oh Bethesda, Bethesda released some information about Fallout 76 regarding the Brotherhood of Steel. They released some more content for 76 on top of that.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to do all this by memory. This is very difficult.
Yeah. I agree.
You and your superior brain. They teased, or they didn't tease, they mentioned the release of another release for Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
I get like the feeling that it's kind of like Ronald Reagan now, where they've just kind of like tied little puppet strings to its dead body, and they're just like mouthing it with someone's hand right below their jaw, and like, "Hey, it's Ronald Reagan," and they just do that with Skyrim, where it's like, "Hey, you, it's Skyrim," and it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't. They do this all the time. It's like it's not like they do anything different for remastered versions. It's just it's so weird seeing it every couple of E3s as like a new upgraded version of itself when the modding community has already perfected it far more than Bethesda ever could.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's get into the meat of it. Starfield.
Yes.
Starfield is a game that they have been teasing for years now. They said they've been wanting to do it for 20 years, but never had the technology to make it possible. They had like a 45-second teaser for it like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago,
Something like that. Yeah.
and then there was nothing for it. And then this time it's alpha in-game footage trailer, which I'm not going to be one of those in-game sleuth investigators. Shows you next to nothing. It shows you that it's basically Interstellar minus the gloominess. Disappointing, very disappointing. We got a release date which is over a year from now. I think about 16 months away, November 11th, 2022. This is the point I think where Bethesda really kind of shot themselves in the foot, because they've been introducing these games that aren't coming out for another like 5 or 6 years. By the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it will have been, I believe, about 6-7 years since it was first shown, the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any place in the video game industry for that kind of preview, that kind of time frame. I think it's just, it is it's bad publicity, in my opinion, to
Right.
tease a game. You have a cinematic, and then nothing for it, nothing, and then you find out that they're like, no, don't expect this game to come out until 2023, late 2023. And then they did the same thing with Starfield. Starfield is farther along in development than Elder Scrolls, and Elder Scrolls probably isn't even in the early stages or past the early stages of development until after Starfield comes out.
Eesh.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't think it's a crime. I don't think it's a crime against humanity or a terrible thing. I just think it's poor PR, and I think it's poor build-up and hype for a game that
Mm.
essentially doesn't exist yet. And I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of the direction that they've chosen to tease their games. I honestly think Bethesda should have just laid low, let their little subsidiary companies, what is it, Take-Two, the guys who did fuck, I don't know. But there you go. Arcane, a couple of their other smaller companies, they should have done all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Really, I really think that's what they should have done. Just laid low for like a couple of years. Did a couple things like, hey, we haven't forgotten you. Here are a couple add-ons to whatever, just to let you know that they're still there. And
Right.
then when it's like the 2-year mark, when they always do this, then release content. But that's just me complaining all over. 343 released, just like Bungie, or just like Bethesda, they just released a cinematic trailer, which did a little bit of story. I'm
Tell me the truth.
done with
Come on.
Halo.
Okay.
I'm done. I've always liked Halo. I've always felt like the books and external like media have, it's almost like a cognitive dissonance where it's like the main game is like this united humanity dealing with aliens and good and evil and that kind of thing, and the books and all the other kind of shit is like, oh no, the UNSC is awful and humanity's kind of fractured, and yeah, if it wasn't for the aliens, the Spartans would actually be like a like a state terrorist organization that just
Right.
kills insurrectionists.
Mm.
So it's weird that Halo 5 Guardians would tease that. They would be like, oh, the world that you're kind of operating in is a little darker, and the people that were heroes could be enemies at any time, and they teased that. And I think the greatest disappointment from Halo 5 Guardians, which I haven't really remarked upon, isn't necessarily the gameplay or whatnot. It's that attempt to add a shade of gray to the story
Mm.
that was never there in the games before. Make no mistake, I don't care what anyone says about the Arbiter, where it's like, oh, but he's in the Covenant. No. This guy is a method of the reformist Covenant group. Okay,
Mm.
the other guys, they're orthodox. They're the psychopaths. No. Jokes aside, I see Halo Infinite, and I see that the game can't seem to survive without, one, the original aesthetic, and two, Cortana.
Oh,
From
okay.
like the 2-minute trailer that they showed, that they can't seem to exist without it. I know I've said so much shit about Halo 4 and Halo 5's like visual style, but that has never been the sole reason why I haven't played them or I haven't enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, no, I don't feel like, it seems as though Halo Infinite is a cop out in a sense. And don't get me wrong, like the nostalgia hits me hard. Trust me, I see the multiplayer and
Yeah.
it gives me goose pimples right in my taint, or where it would be if I had one. But I see the Master Chief in his like artistically bulkier version of armor that he wore essentially,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, 14 years ago. And
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, this is kind of a cop out. It's just pandering. Like if they wanted to do a new art style, that's fine. But the idea of we can't succeed without fans acknowledge or without showing fans that we want the original style back too it's a little heartbreaking. I never cared for the 343's like visual style for the games,
Yeah.
but if they had made a Halo Infinite with the same uh, visual spectacle that they have with this, I might have been fine to it. Seriously, with the
Mm-hmm.
amount of care and attention that they've been putting into this game, I'd play it. But yeah, I feel like now too with the whole issue with Cortana, they've made a sister AI in this little cutscene.
Oh.
Um, this younger looking Cortana character in like a uniform, and she's a more timid, uh, less unabashed version of Cortana. And I'm thinking to myself, like,
Okay.
it feels like an attempt, just like the visuals, to harken back instead of being like a leap forward.
Okay.
Because it's like, he takes the chip out of the back of his helmet and he puts the new Cortana in there and he puts it back in. So it's like you're still going to effectively have Julie Taylor, I think her name is, the voice actress of Cortana. You're
Yeah.
still going to have her doing quippy dialogue in the back of your head.
Yeah.
It's just slightly different. And it leads me to think like that there's some serious self-conscious issues with
Okay.
Halo Infinite. Some very insecure self-conscious issues that I think might arise. I don't know um, if that's true. This game could be amazing. It could be like the next, big thing since Halo Combat Evolved. But I'm
Yeah.
getting this insecurity that that the original art style, the Cortana AI thing, are trying to, I think, mask. Um, then they released the multiplayer trailer, and the multiplayer trailer actually looks fun. Um, Looking at the maps, looking at some of the gameplay, it looks like they've taken everything that Halo Reach could have been. I used to play with one of my older friends, Halo Reach, and I think him and I both agreed that Halo Reach's gameplay was probably, I think, some of the most enjoyable, even with some of its faults. And one of the things that I've always kind of had a problem with Halo 5, from what little I played of it, is the sense of struggle in multiplayer was gone. One of the things that I think makes Bungie's multiplayer map so great is that everyone starts out on a level playing field in terms of weapons, and you have to fight over the shield upgrade, the invisibility, the rocket launcher on Beaver Creek, the sniper rifle in Blood Gulch, in Coagulation, in Valhalla,
Mm-hmm.
the Spartan laser in the middle of those maps. There are areas where gameplay and combat is forced,
Right.
or not forced but funneled. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a bad thing. Halo 5 had no sense of how to direct combat, how to get people into uh, points of contact with one another. You loaded up in the game, you essentially had an in-game currency where you were paying for this and that, and you automatically came into the game with it. And I think that took away a lot of the suspense around what made the original Halo fun.
Right.
And this looks fun. You one of the things that I've been a little apprehensive about is apparently you have a grappling hook, or there's a grappling hook mechanic in the game. And just like the rocket launcher, the sniper rifle, the Spartan laser, it's an equipment that you can grab in multiplayer. And you can
Oh.
use that. Yeah. You don't
Okay.
just automatically get it. It's something that you have to fight for. Um,
That's cool.
you can use that to help you hijack ships or vehicles or destroy vehicles. There's a really great bit where you see a player character use the grappling hook for an aerial vehicle, and I'm thinking to myself, that makes for really fun gameplay.
Yeah.
In Halo, if you didn't have, or in the multiplayer, if you didn't have a Spartan laser or a rocket or enough shots from a sniper rifle, you're essentially fucked if an aerial vehicle comes at you.
Yeah.
Um, that's gameplay mechanics that I think change up the status quo that I really like. Is that now uh, people in aerial vehicles have something to be worried about and have something else to be a little more cautious about, and ground players have something to coordinate and have something just to coordinate with. Customization seems fine. Apparently, if you buy into one season pass, you're buying into all of them, so it's made a lot cheaper, and they're not trying to milk you entirely for everything. I could be misreading that. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the first time I've ever been more interested in the Halo multiplayer than the actual Halo like showcase ever. Like ever.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's kind of disappointing because I think Halo just as a spectacle, typically from its story mode trailers, has always been the thing to get me.
Hmm.
So I also played Outer Worlds, and Outer Worlds was a fun, I think, if a little outdated role playing game. First person action RPG. It's from Obsidian, the same folks who did Jesus Christ. I almost said Las Vegas, New Vegas.
Okay.
Um, it's a fun science fiction capitalist dystopia. You're essentially this astronaut or this person in this colony ship who's the only survivor. And you've woken up on this planet that's colonized by like companies and corporations, and there's like a class dynamic thing. It's really fun. It's got a very fun satire on capitalism, on industrialization. They released a very funny trailer for the second one, which mocks all of the
Yeah.
really funny and obvious tropes that video game trailers tend to do. You know, big monsters, cool vistas, the silhouette of your main character who is blurry because they haven't finalized the concept yet.
Hmm.
Um, I again, just a trailer. I'm seeing a bit of a pattern here, but I've always enjoyed, not always enjoyed, lately I have enjoyed Obsidian's commentary
Yeah.
on video game culture, not video game culture, but the video game climate. They did Grounded, which is a fun survival resource game, and their trailer essentially did the if you're looking for action, suspense, drama, wait till Cyberpunk comes out, and
Yeah. I remember that one.
fun stuff. So I'm enjoying that. Again, it's a trailer. I would have liked more, uh, but this is, I think, the one instance where I wasn't entirely disappointed. Um, and then again, there was Redfall. Redfall, I
Yeah.
think, did everything that I expected. In fact, more.
Oh.
Uh, I am really interested in seeing how it plays out. This optional co-op 4-player immersive sim. Uh, so yeah, I'm interested in that. I didn't take too much of a look at Nintendo. I mean, I'm mainly
Mm.
excited for Breath of the Wild 2, and Breath of the Wild 2 is not debuting at all. What were you gonna
Right.
say, Bear?
No, no, no. I was gonna agree with like Nintendo. I don't know. It's not I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I have so much respect for Nintendo. It's just I don't own a Nintendo console other than a Game Boy Color, which
I get you.
the only game I have for it is Pokemon blue. So so it's like, yeah, like again, like Nintendo knows what the fuck they're doing. They don't need to like, how do you say, they don't need to try to please the masses. The
Yeah.
masses just come to them. Like, we're gonna release this, and the masses are like, "You got it. We're gonna buy it." You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
like honestly, like Nintendo can't. I mean, yes, they can do wrong, right? They can do really shitty and just like not make games or just make really really crappy games. But the thing is, they don't. They make a game, a high quality game. It's not a first person shooter. It's not something crazy, right? They're not trying to be fancy. They're just, yo, here's Mario doing his thing. Hey, you want another Mario Kart? Got you. Here's
You
another
got
fucking
it.
Mario Kart. Hey,
Yep.
you want another Mario Party? Yo, we got you.
Got
Here's
it.
another Mario Party. Hey, Smash, you're tired of the same Smash? We'll make a new one. Don't worry about it. You know, it's like,
You got it.
yeah, it's like, like it's just like Nintendo's just on their own level. Like they're like, I remember there was like the console wars, right? Like, 10 years ago, with Xbox and PlayStation, and people were like, "Oh, Nintendo, blah blah blah, like shitty console, blah 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 blah." But it's like you can't get any of their games other than on their Nintendo consoles. You can't play
Hmm.
Smash anywhere else. You can't play any of the Mario parties anywhere else or Mario Kart. Like,
Yeah.
you have to.
Solid single player or solid Nintendo owned titles.
Yep. I mean, all the Zelda games, right? Like,
Hmm.
they own that, like, one like the biggest names in video game history, and like PlayStation nor Xbox can take that away from them. Like,
Hmm.
and I think I was discussing with my friend, and it's like just the whole like I don't even think they really care about like American customers. I think they make so much money off of their Japanese customers that they kind of just give America their sloppy seconds. Like, oh, here's the American version of the game. It's like we make a Japanese game for our customers, and then the
Right.
American Nintendo just kind of converts it into English, and there you go, you have that, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's like you're right. They're not part of the console wars or competition because they're so far above everything. It's like, how many times has I don't, probably not that many, but uh like handheld devices been out there to try to compete against like the Nintendo console, the
And
Nintendo
they've
handhelds, right?
all fallen.
Like, not even close. They've all just died off because, okay, like the biggest thing, obviously the biggest thing is the names, right? Like, I can
Hmm.
play all these Nintendo games only on a Nintendo handheld, right? And if you look at all the games that you can play on the Vita, it's like you can play those on your PlayStation, and a lot of them you can just play on your phone by this point because they're such
Hmm.
like they don't take a lot of like power. So, and your phones are mini computers at this point, so it's like you just play those games on your phone. So what's the point of having a, a non Nintendo handheld? It's like
Hmm.
Nintendo had made it right. Their marketing and their just company is smart. They're like, yeah, we have specific Zelda games that are only for handheld consoles. Only
Hmm.
Mario games that are only for handheld consoles. Like, and it's like you can only play them there. You can't play them anywhere
Yep.
else. And it's like that's how you do it. Like, Vita, all of Vita games you can play on your PlayStation. You don't have to play it on the Vita.
Right.
So it's like, what's the point of me buying a Vita when I can just play the game on my PlayStation? Like, oh, you can
I
play it
think
on the go.
what's really ingenious is
Mm-hmm.
the Switch itself, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
Switch is a handheld that can be put into a dock that you can play on the television
That
instead of it in instead of it being like, oh hey, you have a single hub where
Mm-hmm.
you can play from like multiple different consoles. Well, why don't I just play on one versatile console that I can take anywhere I want?
That is Nintendo's like this was like their last thing. Like once they
Yeah,
knew like okay, once we can make our console handheld, that's it. Like but
yeah.
until that technology's out there, we're going to keep pumping out our DSs and our whatever, Wii U
It's
games, right?
it's like that scene. I don't. It doesn't really matter. It's a throwaway scene. It's like that scene from fucking Jobs when Jeff Daniels, Lloyd, no Harry,
Yeah.
uh, when he's like, how did you know the whatever device the 1999 like stylus like tablet thing? How did you know it would have failed? And he's like, why use five fingers to hold one point when you've got your finger? And Jeff Daniels just looks at me, he's like, genius. And I'm just thinking to myself, Nintendo literally just bypassed all of the bullshit that like PlayStation and Sony was trying to do, where it was like, what the fuck
Mm-hmm.
is Sony doing wrong? Why the fuck doesn't Sony like why doesn't Sony dominate? And
Yeah.
that's because Sony is splitting its buying power. It's like, why would I buy this product that Sony has sunk millions of fucking dollars into that's been mass produced and mass sold when I can just play the PlayStation with better resolution and play a fucking Pokemon game on a fucking Game Boy instead? Because the
Yep.
shit that they're putting out on the Vita isn't as enjoyable if it's, unless it's played on the fucking PlayStation.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, yeah, why would I buy that? And then I can just play the Nintendo Switch, which I can take anywhere and put on a TV.
Yep.
It is everything. Like, they're not splitting their market.
Mm-mm. Like that was
Genius.
that was the ultimate like okay like this is where what we're aiming for, but we're obviously not there yet. As soon as they were able to make it, they did it. I mean, now they're making like a like obviously like a more stronger Switch, right? But it's still a Switch. Like there's at this point they're just gonna keep making Switches that are just higher end, right? More memory,
They're just,
higher
yeah,
graphics.
eventually you're just gonna get like a little metal tube that's used for sounding.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna go straight into your urethra, and you're gonna go into a coma where you can play video games and then get out of it whenever you want and be like, wow, it's better than the Switch.
Yeah.
The initial discomfort, no, never mind. Don't even worry. It's the price. It's
It's
the
the
price for
price.
playing
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 5.
Yep.
Breath of the Fiveold. But yeah,
Um.
fucking E3 is disappointing. They've been disappointing the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They're
I,
losing their power.
I was gonna say I'll say this: the past 2 years, obviously, pandemic, right? Last year, everyone was getting ready for an in-person E3. Obviously, that needed to get canceled. They had to fix things right, super quick. They didn't have enough time. It was kind of expected to be bad. This time around, again, no in-person stuff, but
Hmm.
you still had the same amount of time to prepare for a non in person E3, right? Like,
Yeah,
and I think, well, I don't know. See, what I was about to say is it's hard to have an E3 when most of what people go to E3 for is to play the games firsthand, right?
right.
But you and I never go to E3. I've never been to an E3. Like,
I don't
so
even know what E3 is.
yeah. And so like we've always seen E3 as visuals. So there's not really an excuse this time around to give us what we used to have, right? So I
Yeah,
think your position is correct in the sense of like it was a little lackluster. Um, I think what it is just not E3 isn't what it used to be. You're right. Their power is gone. Uh, you know, it's just so Sony didn't make an appearance, right? They didn't
yeah.
they weren't
Well,
in E3.
I think they've realized they don't need E3 to showcase their stuff because there are more
Yeah.
events to show their games off to from now on.
Yeah, so, there's that where it's like, okay, now, Sony's not there, and
E3 has
Sony
more to
Sony
work against.
yeah, and Sony is a big contributor to video games, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's hard to not think about video games and not think about Sony, right? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh yeah.
um, it's just, I don't know. Like, is E3 gonna continue to be a thing, or maybe it
Oh, it
will?
will.
It'll
It's
keep
probably
being a
got
thing.
a slow death to it, but I think it'll keep going.
I think it'll be what maybe because I don't know the history of E3, right? I should watch a video or something about it. But I think it might just go back to how it used to be, where it wasn't this huge video game thing anymore, and Sony has their own thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox went off and did their own thing, and slowly but surely it just turns into just
Well,
whatever
now they have like GDC and PAX and
yeah.
a
There's
whole
a
bunch of
lot of
these other events.
there is a lot of conferences that have that, like for example Wizard of the Coast, right? Magic the Gathering, something I follow very hard. They do events and packs and San Diego Comic-Con, stuff like that. So
Hmm.
those are other events that I mean, it's Sony owns Spider-Man. What's to stop them to release something during Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like what we're looking at, I think, is more of the decentralization of uh, of game advertising, essentially. Because
Yes.
I mean, I'm not. I'd rather not wax gleefully about what everyone thinks E3 is, but E3 is essentially just a giant advertising event.
Yes.
The ability for these companies, groups, studios to advertise their games now is no longer dictated by one event. There are
Mm-hmm.
multiple events that all have their own kind of esports related cultures around them too.
Mm-hmm.
Have gotten large enough to have their own, own fan base by brand,
Yeah.
Sony or Xbox. And it's not even necessarily console related. It's just
Yeah.
I like this company. So E3 will still exist. I mean, it'll probably be at a somewhat diminished capacity because it has to compete.
Right.
Um, but the advertising of games and the pomp and circumstance that comes with advertising them and all the sheer excitement everyone gets for it is still going to be there
Right.
always.
Right.
Absolutely always. But I know what you mean, where it's like, oh, there's this one event and everyone gets hyped for it, and it kind of releases a whole bunch of endorphins, and now it's not doing that,
Yeah.
or at least it's not doing that well anymore. And I
Mm.
think thankfully that's not too much of the case. It's just you have a couple more spots where you have to look for it now.
Right.
That's not too terrible, but
Mm.
just different.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. E3 was just, eh. Like again, like that's something that I used to follow. Right. I used to watch all the trailers and everything, and this year I just kind of was like, I just saw some stuff on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That released, and this released, and this is new, and that's it. It wasn't,
You know
you
what?
know.
If I could be completely honest,
Yep.
I was so disappointed I didn't see anything for Fable.
Dude, yeah. That was
I
I
mean,
think you're not the only
I
one.
I I have a slightly higher inclination that I don't think Fable should continue,
Yeah.
but as someone who just can't say no to that last slice of pizza,
Yeah.
I can't say no to Fable. Um they it was similar to Outer Wilds, where they were like, oh, here's this, funny trailer that is totally in line with what our game is. Like, let's take the fairy tale aspect of it and kind of flip it on its head. Um, Disappointed that that wasn't there. I noticed that the more and more I watched this E3, that there was a lot of stuff missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just one thing. If I could have just pointed out one specific thing that I think was missing, Fable would have been nice to see. Someone kick a chicken or fart, or have Peter Molyneux talk about how amazing the game is, and you become like a god and like kill people, and because that's exactly what you get to do in any of the Fables. That's a joke because he always exaggerates and everyone gets disappointed because of all the shit that he says.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that I saw was just basically Nintendo's the only thing that actually did anything at E3, which again, like I said before, it's hard for them to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to mess up. I think that's a better thing. Like they have to really do something awful for people not to like what Nintendo releases.
Oh yeah, I get you. They're the perfect child. They can do no wrong.
But that was our topic for this week. You got anything else?
No. I mean, we'll probably be back next week for
100%.
discussing some more Loki and finding some more shit to talk about as always.
Oh hell yeah. We so I don't know if people saw, but on the YouTube channel, I've been uploading our gameplay of different things. Yeah, it's raw footage.
Oh god,
Sorry,
all
folks.
the unedited shit of me just stuttering and talking about nothing.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically,
you bastard.
and then us just dying constantly. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, you take that back. No, I die a lot.
Yeah. But okay. It's gonna be a thing now. I said fuck it. I'm gonna throw up raw footage of us just doing stupid shenanigans, and it's there. So today I actually uploaded our most recent arc shenanigans.
Now there's gonna be a push for me to be funny and comical and I hate you.
Yeah. So I'll be aiming to upload those Thursdays, and then the podcast I get really busy, so I'm gonna aim to do them maybe Sundays because that's like my first free day after today. Um, so we'll still be doing
Dude,
these
I get
Thursdays.
you. You're busy. You just take care of you.
I will try
and the
to take
rest
care
will
of me.
follow. Good man. Good man.
I actually finished editing a video of my Warzone stuff today. So it is June 17th today, right?
Yeah.
I just finished editing a video that I've been trying to finish since April 9th.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I kind of gave up. I was like,
you all right?
what? I mean, I don't know. I didn't have the motivation to be editing and stuff like that, but kind of think at one point. Okay, so this is what happened. I started getting into trophy hunting again, right, on the PlayStation, and
You've mentioned.
And I would always be right. I'm like, okay, I got some free time, right? I'm like, okay, I can sit down in front of my computer and start editing, or I could fucking turn on the PlayStation and just fucking play a little bit here and there. Right? Try to get some more trophies. Try to get towards that platinum. And I was
then it's
leaning
2 a.m.
Yeah, and I would be leaning to that way more often these past 2 months. The other day was a Monday. I was in that
your
scenario.
soul needs something.
I was in that scenario.
It's okay.
I was in that scenario, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna edit today, and I edited. And then today, before we started the podcast, I just finished it up, and yeah, I'm gonna upload something on my YouTube channel 2 months later. It's been a while.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's fine. No worries.
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, that's I forgot to mention them on a week. Sorry, just forgot. I just remember because I was talking about uploading on our channel of our shenanigans. So
You don't
didn't.
need to apologize for anything. Harry,
Yeah.
I want everyone, all Demetrius of you, to know this: that Harry is the hard worker of this group. I joke, huh? I
Mm-hmm.
rib,
Yep.
I make fancy, funny, fucking silliness. But Harry's the guy who uploads the shit. He remembers the passwords. I don't even fucking remember the first letter of the password for any of the shit that I do.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
the guy who puts shit on Twitter. I'm the asshole who just runs my fucking mouth. Every bit of credit goes to this fucking dude. Just because I talk the most doesn't mean that this is my fucking podcast or even our podcast. This is fucking Harry's podcast. You know why? Because he puts in
Mm-hmm.
all the fucking work. I'd say this is a co-op, but this fucker literally carries me and this podcast over his back.
So
So
it's
if you need fucking to fucking let off some steam, go to a fucking what is it? Those rooms where you wreck everything. You need to go to one of those. I support you.
sounds good.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good talk. I'm
That's
glad
what
we
we
had
do.
this conversation.
Yeah, me
I
too.
really feel like we really got through to one another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was gonna reference the Loki thing, but I did not know how to incorporate it into what we're talking about.
Oh
I was gonna
no,
say
a
something
team of
about
TVA died.
no, I was gonna say something like l- um let's go into an apocalyptic scenario and something. Yeah, I was gonna go that route, but it didn't work out. That's why
You
you're
know
the
what?
funny one.
I wouldn't even say funny. I've lost my edge. But you know what?
Mm.
It's even harder to lose your edge if you never had it in the first place.
Mm. Good words, good
You know
words.
what?
Mm.
You know what, Harry?
Yeah.
You rock. You know what would make you rock even more?
Mm.
If you did the outro.
If I did the outro,
Oh yeah.
shit. All right, let me try to remember
Yeah.
what I gotta.
No
um,
pressure. I got you. This is what's gonna make him quit, guys. Watch. I can't fucking do it. I'm done. No. We're done. We're done here.
that's it. I'm
Never
stopping the
again.
recording. Fuck this shit. Um. Yeah. Damn, dude. I am. You know what? I'll do the outro. I will. I promise. But I'll say that this reminds me of um like leaving a voicemail. You ever leave voicemails?
I leave voicemails all the time. I'm a
I
millennial.
I am
I'm a fucking
horrible,
zoomer.
horrible at leaving voicemails. Like my anxiety shoots off the charts because I'm like when there's another person on the other line, like when I'm talking with you, I'm perfectly fine because I'm interacting, right? Because I'm gonna get a response
Right.
here and there. So if I say something and shut up, someone usually says something. But leaving a voicemail is the complete opposite. I don't get any response. I'm supposed to leave this perfect message stating everything
No,
that
it
needs
doesn't
to
have
be
to be
said.
perfect.
But the thing is,
No.
everything has to be said and it has to be coherent, right? Like let me tell you this story about this one time. So it was a work. I was at work and I had to call this resident because I'm a maintenance worker. I work at apartment complexes and I fix things there, right? So I was calling a
Uh-huh.
resident and I had to set up an appointment, right, for something. I forgot what it was. I think I had to go in and take a look at an appliance or something. This is, by the way, this is like my first year into the company, right? Probably like
Okay.
6 months, right? And I call and ring, 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 ring. Nothing goes into voicemail, and I think I was about to say something, and I blah 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 blah. I literally do that. I say that. I go blah blah blah, and then I hang up. And my supervisor at the time was sitting next to me and just stared at me and said, "What the hell happened?" I'm like, I panicked.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That was one of my first. I believe that was my first voicemail that I left for work, and it was awful. Yep. Yes, I've
Oh my
done that
god, that's so good.
every time I leave a voicemail for a resident or anyone. I like blank. I forget what I'm calling for, because usually when there's a person on the other line, I can interact a little bit, right? I can try to remember what I'm trying to do and stuff like that. Simple. Hello. This is blah blah blah, and I'm calling for this, and they're like, oh hi, like yeah, hi, like oh so and I can kind of ask questions and blah blah blah, right? Because the majority of the time it's the reason why I'm calling is generally asking them questions, right? Like, hey, are you
Hmm.
home? Uh, are you okay if we go into the apartment if you're not home for us to fix the issue? Stuff like that, right? Or like, hey, what is the issue, right? What you're asking is pretty plain. Hey, my toilet's not working. Okay, well, what exactly is wrong with it? Like,
Right.
what's happening, right? So like that's generally why I call. But the thing is, when I'm leaving a voicemail, like I start asking, like that's the thing, I don't know what I'm asking at that point, because I'm like, okay, eh, I just yeah, it's really weird, and then I jumble my words a lot, and it just gets really bad. And I've tried to like get some pointers from people, and I've kind of gotten better, but overall, my voicemails are probably like 5 out of 10, I would
Those are
say.
rookie numbers. We gotta get those rookie numbers up.
Yeah, like I think I've had like one voicemail that was like flawless. No stumbles. I explained exactly what I wanted to explain. It was just the one time, and I was like, man, maybe I'm getting better at this. And then, no, the next time I just fumbled my words again. And then so on and so forth. I left plenty of voicemails that were horrid after that. So it's just, I think I
You
was just
leave you leave voicemails like I play Call of Duty.
basically, yeah. Um,
That's it.
yep. But now that I'm going to try to do this outro, it's the same thing, because I'm not interacting with anyone on the other line. I'm just saying things, and I don't really know what I'm saying, because there's not like a sheet that I'm reading off of. This is all out of my ass,
All
right?
right. Here, hold on. Let me help you. Let me help you. Start with YouTube.
YouTube. All right, you're
Yeah,
most
start
likely.
with YouTube.
All right, well, I gotta end the podcast first, though.
All right. Okay.
See that this is where I fuck up. I'm
Harry, you think too
overthinking
hard about it.
things. I'm
Harry,
thinking, yep,
Harry.
that's exactly what's happening. All right, I got this. I got this. Let me. Do I say folks? Do I say thank you? Where am I going with this? Okay.
You can
Thank
you
you
can act
for
like a fucking kindergarten with a crush for like here. Hi, bye.
there you go. Thank you folks for listening. Us ramble about shenanigans and whatnot. You're most likely watching this on YouTube. If you are, like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon for
There we
stuff and
go.
things, because I don't really know what that bell icon does. Uh, but you could do that, and I hear people ask for that all the time, so that'd be cool. Leave us a comment on the comment section of things. I know Demetrius, hey you, I know you listen. Thanks for the comments. Um, and yeah, just tell us stuff there and whatnot, and all our informations on the is gonna be in the description of the channel, or the video.
Mm-hmm.
Our Twitter, our
Mm-hmm.
email, all that stuff. So if you need to get to that stuff, there it is. And if for some reason you're listening to this anywhere else, you can follow. You can go to our YouTube channel at Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. Um, and then
Go.
obviously our Twitter is what's our Twitter again?
Capital H. Capital
Capital
T.
H, capital T,
Capital M.
capital M underscore
Underscore. Podcast.
podcast. HTM underscore podcast.
There you go.
Yeah. And then do we have any other social media?
No.
No, that's
No,
it.
we
Yeah,
don't.
that's it. So again, thank you folks. for stopping by and listening to us rant about whatever the hell we talked about this episode. I'm, you know, side note, I actually have to re-listen to the podcast to find out what the hell we talk about, so I can put it in the description. I'm like, damn, what did we talk about? Because again, we go on little rants, so I have to like make sure I put everything there.
Just listen to all the stupid shit I'm saying.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. All right, that's it. Bye bye.
All right, folks. Bye bye.
Oh, you got to do your outro. Come on, Mark.
Fucking Alvida's ain't assholes.